I know what you're thinking. Just another developer jumping on the AI hype train. But honestly, I've been writing a lot of source generation code for my Neatoo project, and I realized just how much Github Copilot has helped. There's documentation for Roslyn, but it's very hard to connect the dots. But this has proven to be something that Github Copilot is very good at. In this video, we're going to do vibe coding with Github Copilot to write a Roslyn source generator that implements INotifyPropertyChanged for classes and their properties. You'll see the value of vibe coding and live source generation at the same time. So now a little demo of what we're about to do. I actually just finished the video, so this is the exact project we're about to create. And what I want is if I take a class like this and I add INotifyPropertyChanged. So this is what we're about to create, what we want. So if I implement INotifyPropertyChanged, I want my generator to pick it up and create a partial class with the same name that implements INotifyPropertyChanged. There it is. So now if we look at that, so on the right is all generated code, on the left is the code I wrote. So this is what will be in our library. This is in our generator itself. And then now if I go and add a property, and it needs to be a partial property to compile, I get a property definition with onPropertyChanged. So this generated code, we're going to create a source generator that does this for us with the help of Github Copilot. So let's do that. Okay, getting started. I have an empty solution, just called INotifyPropertyChanged, and I have Github Copilot chat, and I am in Visual Studio 2022. So I want to add a new project. So the first thing I'm going to ask Github Copilot is to add a Roslyn source generation project. So there's my CS proj file. So I don't know how to actually just create a project with that. So I'm just going to create a project and overwrite it. So we'll call that our source generator. And I'm going to edit the project file and put in this. Build everything succeeds. Okay, now let's make our class our source generator. So I'm going to call this INotifyPropertyChanged source generator. I'm never going to use any of the autocomplete vibe coding. Then I'm going to come back here in my Github Copilot, and I'm going to ask it, make my class here, INotifyPropertyChanged, a Roslyn source generator that executes for every partial class that implements INotifyPropertyChanged. So it generates a source generator for us. So copy and paste that in. Now this is where you do have to have some knowledge. I think it's because most of the code out there is old, but iSource generator is not what we want. This is actually an old implementation with Roslyn, so we want something newer. So right out the gate, we do see that we do need to have a foundation of knowledge. We're guiding, we're not following. So what do we need to do? So researching it, we actually want to implement incremental generator. So let me undo this. Let's ask GitHub Copilot in a more specific way. So we're going to say make notify a Roslyn source generator that implements INcremental generator. So let's give it another chance. And I'm just going to wait here. We'll just let you follow along with me to see that there's no editing magic in this project. So now we're using INcremental generator. We're recognizing a partial class. So let's see what we got. So we have INcremental generator. I'm going to take this out for now. And we have something that seems to find a partial class, send it in here. And if we see an INotifyPropertyChanged, and again, in practice, it'd be good to learn these constructs, this Roslyn API, but this is a great start. And we see something that we kind of like here because we get our public class, or our partial class with an implementation. So now my next question was, I want to step through this. I want to see if it even works. I mean, it builds, but does it even work? So let's see how GitHub Copilot can help us with that. Now I'm going to add a test project. Just going to do that on my own. Just add an XUnit test project. And actually, I think the way I have this with OBS Studio, you can't see this, but I'm going to call it source generator.tests. I'm going to add a reference to our source generator project. I'm going to do source notify property changed source generator tests. Okay, so now I have my test project. I have my test. I have my generator that I want to be able to step through. So how do I do that? Well, full disclosure, this did take me a while to figure out how to ask GitHub Copilot. And this is where, again, you do need to do a little research, find the little references, but I think this will work, right? An integration test for, we want to test our source generator. In this file, I don't think I need to, but this is the part that I had to research, is if I didn't give GitHub Copilot this bit of direction to use CS# generator driver, there's a lot of different ways to do this. I was getting an XUnit way of doing it. I was getting just create the class, but let's see if this again gives me what I want. So sometimes you got to go back and forth a little with it. Yes, so this is what I want. I want something that just uses C# generator driver. And so let's copy this. And now if I ask it again, let's see if I can show you what I was talking about. So if before I was saying write an integration test for so if I don't specify C# driver, well, now that's what I get. Okay, so now I have this driver. It doesn't compile. Let's see if I need a package. I do. Oh, remember the days before control dot. So now it builds. This looks pretty good for the source. Let me build. Okay, so I just noticed my video was covering the GitHub chat. Sorry about that, but you could see what I typed in farther ahead. But next, so I want to step into my source generator. So we're going to debug the test there on modified. Now I'm in the source generator, which is very helpful to see what all these Roslyn API constructs are doing, but right now I just want to look at the end and see if I generate source. So partial class person, INotifyPropertyChanged, and there it is. So now I am able to see what my generator would generate for this right here, and thus far it looks right. So let's go back to Github Copilot chat. Now we want to find all the properties of symbol, which is an INamed type symbol. So we'll say, how do I get all of the, and I want the public partial properties of a class. Let's see, let's not even say INamed type symbol. Let's see what we get with class. So there we see our INamed type symbol. And we get our public properties. But this is interesting, and this is where, again, you see that it's not everything, this vibe coding in GitHub Copilot. It says C# properties themselves cannot be marked as partial. But they absolutely can be, but it is a newer feature. I don't know if it's when the large language model was created or what. And of course, most code out there in documentation is going to be old documentation. I don't know if that's it. But again, this can't be the end all be all, because I know properties can be partial. But I'm just going to use this for now and accept public properties and put that in. So I add that in here, a little formatting. So now I want to see if I actually get my property that I added, this name property. And I do. So now we want to add that property to our text. Now this is just some string manipulation. It's less specific. And so let's just get some things put in here so that we can move on to the next concept. So this is just my text I'm going to create for each property. And I'm going to come in here. This is very reminiscent of writing TT files to me. So public properties text to string. The other thing is I see right here that my OnPropertyChanged, when I was writing that, I realized that I want caller member name down here. And the other thing I'm just going to add to move along is there is a way to have your source code reformatted for you so that it looks nice and clean. I'm just going to add that in. And you can ask GitHub for that. Just to kind of jump ahead, I think we've covered the main process flow. But now, when we get to the end here, we have what appears to me to be a completed implementation that will compile. We have our person class with our name property, color member name, and we have our invoke. So lastly, let's just go and make sure it works. And there is a little caveat to referencing an analyzer in its solution. So I'm going to add a class library. Just going to call it library. Just leave our class now. Now I want library to reference source generator, but I do remember there's something special about it being able to reference it as an analyzer. So I'm going to say add a project reference to library.cs project, to source generator to library as an analyzer output. Just going off my memory, you need to call out that it's an analyzer. Yep, so that's this output type analyzer and reference false. And again, I just love that I don't have to go Google that. I can just say, I remember there's something special about that. So now I add that. I'm going to build. And then analyzers show up here. Yep. So now we have it. Don't have any files yet. That's because I've not declared anything yet. So let's go partial class on INotifyPropertyChanged. And let's see what it does. Takes a second. We'll see. I might have to close. Oh, nope. And then, so I'm going to open this and I'll put it to the right. And I'm going to get that out of the way. So this is our generated code. Let's see if we got it. Oh, so there's an issue. Type or namespace name, call member name cannot. Okay, so let's say what using do I need for call member name. Again, I think I could add this and just do a dot, but we are vibe coding after all, and I'm going to put that. So now I'm back to my source generator. Now they do get a little weird when they're all in the same project. So there are times that I close and reopen Visual Studio to get a change to the generator to take. Let's try rerunning the generator. There we go. There's that. Oh, only be applied to default values. So again, we kind of see the limitations of our test because I was just eyeballing if it's debuggable code, but I'm taking you through the entire journey here. Okay, equals null. I didn't notice. Did it build? It did build. So now we're getting our object. Let's add. Whoop. Let's see. Now we save, and there we go. So I hope this helps you appreciate both vibe coding and live source generation. If you haven't tried writing a Roslyn source generator or analyzer yet, I very much encourage you to. They can be difficult, but as you saw in this video, Github Copilot helps to navigate the Roslyn API, and they can do some very cool things. Please check out my project Neatoo to see how I used this to create a domain-driven design framework that provides seamless reuse of your aggregates on the client and the server, saving you a lot of code. Thank you for watching.